would probably agree that in the world of herbal medicine, especially as it exists online today, it is full of a lot of buzzwords: superfoods, miracle weeds, cure-all plants. I'm sure I have a video title somewhere that fits one of those. But I do want to talk about a specific buzzword today, and that is detox or detoxify or detoxification. The many ways of removing unhealthy or toxic substances from the body. And we even have to be a little bit careful with the term unhealthy and toxic too, because there's kind of a sliding scale for most substances. For example, something as simple as water or sodium, which are both essential for the body's function, those can be toxic in the right amounts. But that's a discussion for later. But detox. So detox is one of those wellness terms that comes up again and again in herbalism, and we often specifically talk about springtime detox. And so I thought, since it is spring right now here in Maine, we could go and talk about the seasonal spring cleaning of the body, because it is a deeply biological and historical reality. It's not just a marketing gimmick. And today I want to help you understand the facts about springtime detox. And guess what? Many of the most effective detoxifying herbs probably are growing in your backyard, which is pretty cool. So let's start with the history. Just for a moment, picture how human beings have lived before the modern grocery store, especially in cold climates. So during the winter, our diets were heavily reliant on preserved foods, root vegetables, cured meats, dried and powdered herbs, foods that are dense in fats and starches. These are foods with little to no fresh enzymatic activity and the micronutrients that you would typically get from fresh vegetation. So basically you're eating whatever you could shove into your root cellar. Plus in the winter you're more sedentary, you're huddled inside trying to stay warm. This is definitely true for me. We live and die by our wood stove in the winter, and I really don't do much other than play video games during my off season. And of course that affects your lymphatic system, which literally relies on the movement of your body to remove fluid from the lymph nodes. So it's not unreasonable to say that our bodies during the winter months accumulate toxins in a much higher amount than we would during any other season. So many of the first plants to arrive in early spring can be consumed to essentially trigger the elimination and renewal in the body. And we'll talk specifically about what plants and how they do so in just a moment. But I just want to acknowledge how cool that is, or at least it's cool to me. I just find it so fascinating that our bodies share this ancient relationship with these plants that is so deeply ingrained that the plants we need come at just the right time of year. So our calorie-dense foods are ready and available in fall, and our detoxifying herbs and foods are ready in the spring. So in my mind, that's just another reason why eating seasonally is not just good for saving you money at the grocery store. It's also something healthy that you can do for your body. Okay, so let's talk about some of these plants, because more than likely you've heard of most of them, or you've seen them growing in your own lawn or on your favorite walking trails, and you're often going to find these plants growing right next to each other. So our first plant, dun, 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 dandelion. Every year I do a video on dandelion, and you might ask why, and I would just say it's so awesome. I could talk about dandelion all day. It's one of the first plants that come up and flower in early spring, and literally every part of the dandelion, including the sap, which I hear is good for warts, every part of the dandelion is usable. So it's just great. We're not going to go super deep into dandelion in this video because I do cover this so much more in my other videos. videos, and I want to say maybe 4 videos at this point just on dandelion. But to summarize, dandelion greens and dandelion root are incredible detoxifiers. Let's talk about dandelion greens, especially the older, darker, more mature leaves. These contain high concentrations of bitters, which are secondary metabolites that trigger a response in our bodies the moment it hits your tongue. So this herb tells your body to produce digestive enzymes, and it activates the liver, which is your body's waste management facility. The leaves also act on the kidneys as a diuretic, which means that it helps to stimulate the production of urine to flush out water-soluble waste from the kidneys. Now, the deep taproot of dandelion acts as what's called a cholagogue, which is a fancy word for saying that it stimulates the gallbladder. And by stimulating the gallbladder, it encourages the body to produce more bile, which is also used for digestion. To put it kind of simply, bile is sort of a liquid transport mechanism for carrying waste through the digestive tract efficiently. Dandelion roots are also high in inulin, which is a prebiotic fiber that feeds beneficial gut bacteria in your body. Now, another early springtime plant is burdock, and this is an easy one to identify. Burdock is a slow, deep tissue worker, so it slowly optimizes the liver and the kidneys' functions, making it what's called an alterative herb, meaning that it alters the metabolism. So there are a few things I forgot to mention in my video that I did inside. So I just wanted to come out here and talk a little bit more about burdock. And we have a plant right here. So burdock has HEPA-protective qualities. What this essentially means is that it protects the liver. And one of the ways it does so is through its antioxidant properties. So those antioxidant properties protect the liver cells. Similar to dandelion, burdock leaves also contain bitters, and you can consume the young leaves of burdock. If you're going to do so, you only want to consume the leaves from springtime. So you would want to eat leaves about this size, and as you can see, they are a light green color. The light green color is an indicator of the concentration of bitters and oxalates. And oxalates in high concentrations can cause kidney stones. But don't be too worried about that. There are many common things we eat that have oxalates, like chocolate and spinach. But a way to avoid that is to only consume the tender green leaves. And similarly, the leaves have higher concentrations of bitters the darker they are and the further in the season they are. And if you consume a plant that is highly bitter, somewhat bitter is okay and it's great for the digestive system, but once it becomes too bitter, it can give you a stomach ache and is considered slightly toxic. So you want to avoid that. I do have a whole video on how to identify burdock. And it's important that you don't confuse it with a common lookalike, which is your common rhubarb. The leaves of rhubarb are not edible, so just want to make sure 100% that you identify it correctly before you start consuming either the leaves or the root. And I do want to say that every herb we discussed today has alternative qualities, maybe with the exception of Creeping Charlie, but alternative is a broad term, so it is a bit debatable, but I'll stick to what I know, at least for this video. So speaking of Creeping Charlie, let's move our discussion away from the liver and the kidneys and gallbladder and talk about your lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is your body's drainage network, but unlike your heart, which acts as a mechanical pump, there actually is no pump for your lymphatic system. It is entirely reliant on your physical movement, so breathing, walking, stretching. Your lymphatic system needs this activity to remove waste and excess fluids from your body. And of course, we're moving a lot less during the winter. So Creeping Charlie is this lovely ground cover that pops up right next to dandelion and clover. And if you're having a hard time spotting it, it's almost always in shaded areas that are consistently moist. So think rock crevices, maybe the north side of your home, or low areas or dips in your yard. In my own yard, there's Creeping Charlie growing where I used to have a water barrel station for watering my garden. And I'll often see it also in places where the hose connector might be leaking, or just dips in our yard. So Creeping Charlie is excellent for the lymphatic system, and one of the ways it does so is by removing toxins, specifically heavy metals like lead, mercury, and aluminum, out of the fatty tissues like your liver, or for women from your breast tissue. And it also actually does the same for soil, so it's a potential bioremediator, making your soil healthier and safer for growing vegetables. metals. One thing to note about Creeping Charlie is that it can also remove beneficial metals like zinc, copper, iron, chromium, and manganese. So this isn't an herb that you would want to use long term, but it's great for a temporary springtime detox. Creeping Charlie is also great for sinus infections and tinnitus when it's caused by fluid buildup, all things that can be brought on by seasonal allergies. And I have a whole video on Creeping Charlie, so feel free to check that out. It will be linked in the description. It does have many lookalikes like purple dead nettle and henbit, but that video will help you to properly identify it. Okay, so our final springtime herb is clover, and this applies for red and white clover. As a kid, I used to take the petals off of red clover and suck on the little white parts because they were a little sweet. And that sweetness is actually an indicator of its gentle, nourishing qualities. Clover is known for its effectiveness as a blood purifier or a blood tonic in herbalism. It is antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and it's also a gentle diuretic, which again means that it helps your body to expel waste through your urine, and it can be paired with burdock and dandelion to soften the intensity of a more aggressive blood purifier. However, it does have some mild blood thinning properties, so if you are on blood thinners or preparing for surgery, you want to avoid clover, and as always, you need to speak to your doctor if you have any concerns about contraindications with any pre-existing conditions or medicines that you may be taking. I'm not a doctor, I'm just here to share my research and my personal experience. So how do we apply these detox herbs? Well, I would recommend that you check out my individual videos on Dandelion, Burdock, and Creeping Charlie. These videos are going to help you properly identify the plant, which is the very first thing you want to get right, of course. I also have a video discussing some of the practical ways to use these herbs for skincare, because your skin is another organ that's used to expel waste. And so when we take care of our liver and our kidneys and our lymphatic system, we're going to see those benefits in our skin as well. And if you're new to this channel or new to foraging and herbalism, I would recommend that you check out my video on foraging. I know that foraging can be a little bit intimidating and scary when you don't know what you're doing and you don't have somebody to teach you. So that video might help give you a little bit more context and a little bit more confidence. As always, thank you so much for watching. I will see you very soon.